Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the Corona Challenge Box online hackathon. Today, as every day, we'll be reviewing the status of the hackathon, do a quick overview of the way things work, take your questions, and tonight we'll introduce the new challenge. And we have Professor Nabarro to tell you about it and answer your questions about it. So let's begin. We are in the fourth day of the hackathon today. We have been running with two challenges so far. Both of them had to do with infection and they were more medical in character. Today, we added a new challenge which has to do more with accessibility and coding. So it really opens up the hackathon to new audiences. I remind you that the hackathon consists of two main platforms. One platform is called Discord. The Discord platform is aimed at ongoing communication and team creation. So this is where you can find potential teammates. The other platform is called Shawi. In the Shawi platform, you can register your team and submit your project when it is ready. When you've registered to the hackathon, you received links to both platforms, and you can use the Discord platform to be always informed and always get updated links for the daily webinars, and to the Shawi platform to register your team and submit your project. As this is a rolling event, the hackathon is not like a 1 week event or a 1 month event with one submission date. We take submissions for all challenges every Sunday. So every Sunday, if your project is ready, you may submit it and we will send it to the review of the judges. At any point, if you require mentoring, you can ask for it on the Discord platform and we can forward your question to mentors or arrange a one-on-one session for you with the relevant mentors. I just want to show you very quickly what things look like on the Discord today. So for those of you who haven't seen this before, this is the Discord platform. This is where all the communications in the hackathon are managed. You have the general chat channel for general like introductions and stuff. Team building in order to find potential teammates. You can see people introducing themselves here. You can send a direct message to anyone by clicking on their nickname and then typing in the message box. Once you're in a private conversation with someone, you can do share screen and video chat. And we also have dedicated channels for the challenges. If you require any type of technical support or you have any question to the administrators, you go to the technical support channel and you can ask us anything. If you have a special request of the organizers, feel free to message me. You will see my messages are always here in the welcome channel. So you just click my name and type in the message window so you can send me a message. So this was just a quick review of the communication channel. I think at this point, we are ready to talk about the new challenge, and the new challenge we've introduced today is the Older People Challenge. And I think the best person to introduce the challenge, tell you all about it, and then answer your questions is Professor Nabarro, which is the leader of this challenge. So Ron, the stage is yours.
A microphone?
Yeah, we can.
And good evening to everyone who is online. I'm really excited for this opportunity. And I would like to give you some sort of a very initial picture on what is happening now with this cohort, which we call the older adults, which, as you can see, I'm one of them. something very interesting happened when we started this situation of the corona, that suddenly people who did not consider themselves old were thrown into the pond of old people. 60 turned to become old, and usually people who are 60 don't feel old. But when we are looking on the big picture of a whole group of people who are suddenly confined in their homes and need to use all the digital platforms that are available for communication, for ordering food, for asking for help, for getting medical information, etc., etc., we have a large group that suddenly find itself without a solution. They get stuck, they get answered with, they're answered with short sentences, quick talk, and very often brutal answers. Why don't they understand? Why they have so many questions? And I'm sure that part of you who are the technical service or the IT department of your parents can maybe envision this situation that is very uncomfortable. So we have now a situation where a whole group of people are actually incapable of using services that are available for the rest of the population, and they become lonely. And I'm not sure if you are very much aware of that, but one of the biggest problems of the world, even before Corona, was the loneliness of people, of older people who are disconnected from society because they don't master the digital applications and all the don't have the skills that are needed to operate all those possibilities. Now, my opinion regarding that subject is very, very one-track-minded kind of. I think that designers who are dealing with the user experience and the user interface actually completely overlook this group in society, and they feel that they are not going to use it anyhow. They don't understand it anyhow. So why bother and why make efforts to deal with this group? Or that it comes out of ignorance, out of not really knowing what the situation is. Now, I would like to use an example which I use quite often when I talk with young people and regarding what do elderly people understand when they see icons or symbols that are very familiar for you, but they're not familiar for them at all. And one of the best examples that I use is the share icon, which is this rectangular with the arrow getting out of it. When we did our research in one of our projects with a group of elderly people, when they were asked what this icon is, they said, "Is it an elevator?" And this is actually the whole story, because when someone thinks that he doesn't understand an icon, doesn't understand a term, doesn't, for instance, they don't understand terms like widget. What's a widget? For people who are over 65, the word widget has no meaning whatsoever. So when you will tell him, we have prepared for you a widget, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. So this is, of course, just two very small examples of a total disconnection between the elderly users of digital platforms and the platforms themselves. They cannot use it. They have to put a lot of effort in learning it. They often forget it because it doesn't belong to their daily visual vocabulary, and they just quit. And this is something we don't want it to do. So this, in our hackathon, we would like you actually to take those challenges and try to make workarounds and solutions for elderly people to be able to use whatever the digital platforms have to offer. I'm ready to answer any questions if there are.
Thank you, Ron. So if you have any questions to Ron or any questions in general about the hackathon, feel free to write them down in the chat. While you're doing so, I just want to say that what we're looking for here is not necessarily to create a new platform from scratch, but we're looking for quick solutions to make the existing platforms accessible for older people. Things which you might take for granted, like Professor Nabarro said, but things like accessing videos on YouTube, communicating with other people, ordering food from the supermarket online, ordering prepared meals, for example. All of these, which we take for granted, might not be very easily accessible. So what we're looking for is ways to make all this accessible for older people. Eran is asking, just wait for Ron to return. Ron, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, there was, speaking of a messenger from the supermarket.
Oh,
Sorry.
I hope the dog didn't kill him.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So Eran Perlman is asking, why don't you use technical support for the elderly, like from an ISP company, ספק internet?
Can you repeat that question?
Eran is asking, why don't you use technical support for the elderly, like from an ISP company?
Okay, this is a very, very good question. Not many months ago, I was invited to one of the credit card companies who were, they wanted to talk with me about support services for elderly people because the talks with elderly people take them so much time, and that they will have to add a lot of manpower to sit and give the technical support to the elderly people, and they don't know how to do it because they don't understand the words, they don't understand the terms, the people are not, don't have the right skills to talk with elderly people, etc., etc., etc. So, of course, technically, maybe there might be a possibility, but at the moment, call centers, support services don't have not the protocols, not the manpower, and not the skills to deal with elderly people, which it's very difficult to explain using voice-only things they see on the screen. We know how fantastic we find these video conversations that we are doing now so much more often, how they make things so much easier. So I don't think those companies are at the moment able to give this kind of service at all.
All right, thank you. Eran, I hope that answers your question. Please let us know if you have any follow-up for this. Aviram Ziv has an idea for a project. He wants to talk about it on voice, um, and he wants to get feedback from you on the idea, and it might be inspiring for all the rest of you. Also, Aviram, if you're looking for teammates. So the stage is yours. I unmuted your microphone.
Hey, thank you, Dvir. Hey, Ron, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing. That's super important. And so I just want to understand. If I understand the problem, is that one elderly people don't know like all the icon terminology and tools, the new digital tools, and therefore are not, let's say, relevant for a lot of stuff in that way, like in quoting. And they need someone to get it more accessible for them to understand the terminology and icons and all that stuff. And I get it right?
Yeah, go on, because it's not a very simple issue. So continue with your question, and I will deal with it as a whole.
Okay, so what I think is like, first of all, it's super simple to make like a video with terminology and all the explanations on YouTube, where you can always get inside and learn everything that people know, like what's the common terminology and what people talk about. And about the support, like a dedicated team that has like a phone number and an email, and it's only for that. Whenever you have a problem with such any tool, you just call them and get what you need, or send them an email or whatever. So that's what I was thinking.
Okay, I will start with your idea of having sort of a training video that you can go and learn in your own pace and understand what is the meaning of each icon, etc., etc. How old are you?
30.
30. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, one of the problems of people when they are getting older is that various symbols of icons and other symbols that they have not learned while they were young are not really implanted in their brain. It's not natural for them. For instance, if you will ask a person, let's say in my age, I'm 74, what's the shape of a telephone plug from 1960? He remembers it because it was a very, very special plug that was used only for telephones. And even if you would wake him up in the middle of the night and show him, he would say, this is a telephone plug. It's not like that for him when he learns now that an icon for a video camera online is a little rectangle with a little trapezoid turned 90 degrees, because it doesn't resemble for him in any case something that has to do with camera. By the way, one of my students in the Technion a couple of years ago did his research, and he just added two little circles on top of that camera icon. And when he interviewed elderly people, they say, oh yes, that's a film camera. So this is exactly the difference of creating an icon which could be identified by elderly people and an icon that could not be identified by elderly people. And it's very important to understand that when you're thinking of solutions, you have to try and learn what is the visual language they could remember from their time and make the connection. And not just say, okay, let's teach them and they will know from now
on. First of all, thank you for the answer. So if I may suggest an alternative solution, I was thinking just as we were talking.
We have to find that we have to find that first if it's okay from the organizer. Organizers
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
we're entering a mentoring session, and that's something else.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay. So I'll just write it down and send it to Dvir.
But we can set up a meeting for when you start.
Yeah, no problem.
Abiram, do you have a team?
I can raise one. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I hope to see you with your team registered on the Shaway platform very soon. Thank you, Aviram, for your
Okay.
question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Alon Levy is making a suggestion. Alon, do you know the app called Be My Eyes?
No, I don't think I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so there's an app called Be My Eyes, and it's for people who have problems to see. They can connect via the app to someone. They point their phone and at whatever they need help with, and the person on the other side of the app tells them what they are seeing actually.
Okay. Okay.
So that way they are being like their eyes. So he's suggesting maybe doing something similar for the older adults, like
I
somewhere
think
where you can connect immediately with another person and which will explain to you how to use things.
I definitely think it's a very good idea, especially connecting it to Avram's idea earlier, dealing with support teams and technical help teams that would be able, something very similar to those applications where people take charge on your computer, etc., but creating a way where people would be able to communicate very easily is a great idea, but still the teams have to be trained to deal with elderly people. The pace is completely different.
Eran Perlman is saying, I once worked in a tech support company and talked with a lot of older people. It's hard to fix the problems and can be frustrating sometimes, but in the end, it works for most clients. The explanation needs to be very simple and everyone can use the phone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. We're holding on for more questions. I'll give you a couple of minutes to add more questions. Until you do so, I just want to show you the challenge page on the hackathon website. All right. We have a slight formatting issue, so we will fix it soon. But just so you see it in general, this is the hackathon website. You can access it at hackathons.co.il/corona. There is also a Hebrew version for this website. It's hackathons.co.il/hackathons. We will write the URLs in the chat window. In this website, you can see the available challenges. This is a general explanation about the challenge. And if you click on read more, you can see the full challenge ID. The challenge ID consists of the challenge statement, which is kind of the mission that we're asking you to fulfill. What should I submit is what we're expecting you to submit at the end of the process. This is flexible. So if you want to submit something that deviates a little from these bullets, let us know. It may be acceptable. Here are some ideas for people who can take part in the challenge. And we have here the criteria for a successful solution. When we're looking at solutions and we want to pick the one which we want to put a spotlight on or publish to the general public, or maybe try to get funding for, we will look at these criteria. So for this specific challenge, we have technological feasibility, simplicity of the solution, and the impact. To what extent the solution improves the life quality of the elderly. I see there's a typo here. Noah, please help get it fixed. There's also the list of mentors here. And as I said, if you want to get in touch with a mentor and ask questions, please let us know in the challenge channel on Discord, and we will connect you with one of the mentors. We will be adding additional mentors later on, and we have mentors both for both who are familiar with this demographic of older people, and we also have mentors whose expertise is user experience, design, coding. We have everything. So just say what you need, and we'll help connect you with the relevant mentor. Okay. I see there has been no additional questions. Ron, is there anything you would like to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah. I just want sort of to underline a little bit the fact that it is very important for all the people who are designing solutions for elderly people is that for elderly people to stop doing something is actually for them the sign that they are getting old, and then it starts to become sort of a downhill process. And therefore, we consider it so important to make everything available for elderly people, but not make a solution that is only for elderly people, but it should be a solution that is good for elderly people and is good for young people, because what works well for elderly is excellent for young people. And elderly people would never adopt a solution that will make them feel old. They don't want to be labeled by something, oh, this is a product for elderly people. You know, it's like shoes that are made for elderly people, emergency buttons that are made for elderly people. My mother always she forgot her emergency button when she went down in her old people's home to the coffee shop. And she always used to say, oh, I just forgot it. But I knew she just didn't want to go with it, because putting this alarm button on her neck, it was kind of a necklace gadget, was to admit that she's really old and she cannot be independent anymore, and she needs to show the world, this is me, and she didn't want it. The same goes, older people like to take modern products, gadgets, be part of society, be part of what's going on. They want to communicate with their grandchildren without feeling embarrassed. They want to talk with their children, not only to ask them for help about the internet or about the TV or about anything they cannot operate in their home. So once we find solutions, we make life simply better for everyone, not only for the elderly, but also for the young people who need all the time to be called and say, please help me, I cannot manage, I cannot manage. And elderly people have this very, very bad tendency. They try once, they try twice, and then they give up. And we don't want them to give up. We want them to be part of everything. This is my message.
Thank you, Ron. It really reminds me when my late grandfather, when he was a little over 80 and he needed help, we suggested he went to a nursing home, and he said, "Are you crazy? Nursing homes are for old people."
For old people, right? Yeah.
Iran is asking, can we make a program that controls the remote device and assists the client to solve the problem? I think, Ron, you mentioned that before, that remote controlling of devices is something that is relevant here.
Absolutely, absolutely relevant. In general, remote controls are big enigmas for elderly people.
Not only them, I guess.
I know, but you know, what I usually say is the difference between a young person and an old person when they take a new remote control in their hands is that if the old person doesn't manage it he says, I'm too old for that, it's not for me anymore, and that would be the last time he would deal with it. A young person would say, it's a shit product, I'll look at it again when I have time.
Thank you very much, Ron. This has been fascinating. I can't wait to see what people will create for this challenge. A recording of this webinar will be available on the Discord platform for you to rewatch later alongside the short summary. You have the recordings of all the webinars that we've done so far. This is the fourth one. So if you want to catch up on questions that have been asked previously about the other challenges, it is always available. And as I said before, if you have any questions, if you're looking for teammates, the Discord channel is available for you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Thank you very much, Ron.
Thank you and good night.
See you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye.